Hello everyone, and welcome to my Sister Wives For You channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Kody Brown spirals after Logan and Dayton reunite without him. Family implodes. It was the reunion that no one expected, but everyone felt. In a moment of quiet defiance and tender healing, Logan Brown and Dayton Jessup, two of Kody Brown's oldest sons from different mothers, met up for a peaceful, heartfelt lunch in Flagstaff. There were no cameras, no Kody, no Robin, just two young men, raised in the shadow of a man who demanded loyalty but rarely gave it in return, finally reconnecting on their terms. And when Kody found out about it, when he realized that two of his sons had orchestrated their own emotional reunion and deliberately kept him in the dark, it triggered a spiral so severe, so deeply chaotic, that it shattered what remained of the fragile web that once held the Brown family together. At first, it was a simple photo, one candid image that set off the firestorm. Dayton had uploaded it to his private Instagram story, not realizing how quickly it would make the rounds. In the shot, he and Logan sat side by side at a rustic outdoor cafe, clinking glasses of iced tea, with subtle smiles on their faces. There was no mention of Kody, no reference to Robin, and that silence spoke volumes. Fans caught on fast, reposting the image across fan groups and Reddit threads. Comments exploded. "Where's Kody? Are they finally ditching him? This is what healing looks like." What made the meeting so symbolic, so dangerous to Kody's carefully curated narrative, was the history behind it. Logan, the eldest of all the Brown children and Janelle's firstborn, had always been the responsible one. The peacemaker, the fixer. But over time, especially in recent seasons, viewers saw Logan begin to distance himself, pulling away from the chaos, from the favoritism, from Kody's shifting allegiances. He moved out early, stayed away from the cameras, and quietly built a stable life with Michelle, his longtime partner. Meanwhile, Dayton, Robin's eldest child, had become a symbol of Kody's obsession with one household, of how he poured time, energy, and resources into Robin's kids while emotionally abandoning the rest. For years, fans wondered if the other, Brown kids resented Dayton. But this reunion shattered that myth. Logan didn't blame Dayton. He blamed the man in between them. And in that one quiet afternoon, they both took a step toward rewriting their own stories, separate from Kody. Kody, however, didn't see healing. He saw betrayal. When he found out, reportedly from Aurora, who saw the social media post and immediately alerted him, Kody exploded. "They're doing this to hurt me," he allegedly shouted in a phone call to Janelle, demanding to know if she helped plan it. Janelle, ever calm and measured, refused to play into the chaos. "They're adults, Kody. You don't own their relationships," she reportedly said. That only infuriated him more. Within hours, Kody launched into a full-on tirade. He texted Logan demanding an explanation. He tried to contact Dayton through Robin's phone, which Dayton had long since stopped using regularly. When neither son responded immediately, Kody spiraled into paranoia, accusing Christine and Janelle of poisoning the boys against him. "They're sabotaging this family," he screamed during a heated confrontation with Robin, who, for once, didn't come to his defense. That's when things began to really unravel. Robin, visibly shaken by Kody's outburst, reportedly locked herself in her bedroom for hours. Aurora, traumatized, broke down crying. Brianna left the house for the weekend to stay with friends. Even Solomon and Ariella, once protected from most of the family's dysfunction, began asking hard questions. Why is Dad yelling about Dayton? Why doesn't Logan visit? Kody's paranoia deepened into obsession. He began rehashing every conversation from the last year, convinced that the other wives were conspiring to turn all his kids against him. He confronted Mary, who, despite their estrangement, still communicated occasionally for appearances. "You knew this was coming," he told her. "They all want to erase me." Mary didn't flinch. "No one has to erase you, Kody. You're doing it yourself." Kody then tried reaching out to TLC producers, reportedly demanding they film a segment where he could explain his side and expose the manipulation. But producers were hesitant. The show had already taken a turn toward following the independent lives of the wives and adult children. Kody's outbursts weren't helping his case. They were painting him as more volatile, more unhinged than ever. He threatened to quit the show entirely, only to backpedal days later when he realized his image and income depended on it. Meanwhile, Logan and Dayton stayed silent. No interviews. No comments. Just one powerful message. We don't need to engage in the chaos. Their silence was louder than Kody's screams. It was a complete rejection of his narrative. A refusal to let him weaponize them against each other. As news of the spiral spread, the Whiter Brown family began drawing lines. Gwendolyn posted a cryptic TikTok about healing being louder than drama. Madison subtly unfollowed Robin. Payton went live on Instagram and, with a smirk, said, "Some bridges weren't burned. They were just never built right in the first place." Even Hunter and Gabriel, who had long maintained some distance, sent Logan messages of support that soon became public. In a last-ditch effort to regain control, Kody organized a family meeting via group text. Only Robin's kids showed up. Janelle declined. Christine didn't respond. Mary said she had a business trip. Logan replied with a simple one-line message, "I'm done trying to pretend this is normal." That text was later leaked and quickly became a symbol of the breaking point, the final nail in the coffin of Kody's crumbling legacy. Inside Robin's house, Kody fell into what sources close to the family called a depressive shutdown. He reportedly refused to come out of his room for 3 days. He missed Solomon's soccer game. He canceled filming. When Robin tried to reach him, he told her, "I don't know who I am anymore if I'm not the father everyone revolves around." But the truth, as painful as it was, had already been exposed. The family no longer revolved around Kody Brown. It revolved around healing, reconnection, and a future beyond dysfunction. And Logan and Dayton's reunion was the spark that lit that fire. It wasn't just a casual lunch. It was a quiet revolution. And Kody? He was left in the wreckage of the empire he tried so hard to control, finally realizing what everyone else already knew. Control isn't the same thing as love. And sometimes, the loudest collapse comes not with a scream, but with a silence that refuses to let you back in. It started with a photo, just a single image posted quietly to social media late one Thursday evening, but for Kody Brown, it may as well have been a bomb detonated in the heart of everything he had tried desperately to control, because in that photo, Logan Brown and Dayton Jessup stood side by side, grinning ear to ear, arms around each other's shoulders. And what was most striking wasn't just the rare appearance of two of the eldest Brown sons together. It was the caption, "Brotherhood isn't built on blood, it's built on loyalty." That was it. No tags, no explanation, no fanfare. But for Kody, it was an earthquake beneath his already shaky foundation, because Logan, the once golden eldest son who had distanced himself from the chaos years ago, and Dayton, Robin's son, whom Kody had fought to adopt and claimed as his own, had reunited without telling him, without involving him, without even mentioning his name, and that absence said more than 1,000 angry words ever could. Kody had spent years trying to maintain the illusion that, despite the collapsing relationships and the cold silences from his older kids, there was still some thread holding the family together, but this photo shattered that delusion. It was a message, intentional or not, and it hit him in a place no one had touched in a long time, his pride. He stared at the image longer than he should have, replaying every conversation he'd ever had with Logan, every time Logan challenged him, every time he pulled away, every time he rolled his eyes when Kody tried to preach unity like a broken record, and every time he defended Dayton, stood up for Robin, claimed he was the dad that stepped up, while the real father faded into the background. And now those two boys, raised on opposite ends of the plural marriage spectrum, had found each other again without him, and that stung like betrayal, though deep down, Kody knew it was the consequences of his own creation, the bitter fruit of favoritism, neglect, and broken promises. At first, he told Robin it was nothing, just a picture, babe, they probably ran into each other at the gym or something. but his voice was too high, his hands too tight around his phone, and Robin, already fragile from weeks of tension and media backlash, tried to soothe him, saying, "Maybe this is a good thing. Maybe it means they're healing," but the look Kody gave her was one of pure disbelief, because healing wasn't something that happened without him, not in his world. If they were healing, it meant they had accepted life without their father figure. It meant they didn't need him anymore. That night, Kody barely slept. He scrolled through old photos, looked at footage from earlier seasons of the show, replayed scenes where Logan had carried the emotional weight of the family like a third parent, where Dayton had stood awkwardly beside him, unsure of his place, and Kody had been the bridge between them. Or at least, he thought he had been. In the morning, driven by something he couldn't even name, pride? Desperation? Fear? He called Logan. Straight to voicemail. He tried again. Nothing. Then, against Robin's quiet protest, he called Dayton. Dad. Dayton's voice was cautious, not cold, but cautious in a way that made Kody's stomach drop, and in that single word, Kody heard everything. Distance, restraint, boundaries. "Hey, bud," he said, forcing brightness into his tone. "Saw the picture. You and Logan. Looks like you had a good time." A pause. "Yeah," Dayton said. It was long overdue. Another pause, this one so long Kody had to fill it. "You didn't think to let me know? Invite me along?" Dayton hesitated. "We just wanted to talk. Just us." The words were soft, but they carried a jagged edge, and Kody, already unraveling, snapped. "I'm your father, Dayton. Logan's your brother, because I made sure you two were connected. I fought for that relationship. And now you go behind my back like I'm some outsider?" Dayton sighed. "I didn't go behind your back. We just didn't include you." Click. Kody hung up before he said something worse, stormed out of the house, ignoring Robin's pleading questions. He drove for hours, past the Coyote Pass land he once dreamed of building on with his wives, past Janelle's RV that now sat empty, past Christine's old house that now belonged to strangers who knew nothing of the pain once held in its walls. And as he sat alone in a diner booth, staring into lukewarm coffee, he realized that the implosion wasn't coming. It had already happened. The family had fallen apart, and he had missed the moment it all truly broke. That photo wasn't the cause, it was the evidence. When he returned home, Robin was waiting with tears in her eyes. "I think we have to stop pretending," she said quietly. "They're moving on, Kody. Without us." Her voice cracked. "Without you." Kody wanted to scream, to rage, to slam something against a wall and make the world make sense again, but all he could do was sit down and cry. Not out of anger, but out of grief. He had lost his family, not in one grand betrayal, but in 1,000 tiny cuts, choices made, conversations avoided, children pushed aside in favor of control. And now, with one photograph, the truth was inescapable. Logan and Dayton had built something real, and they had done it by removing the one thing that had always stood in the way of unity, him. Days passed in silence. No calls came in. The press caught wind of the tension. Tabloids ran headlines like "Brown Boys Unite," "Dad Not Invited," and fans dissected every frame of that viral image. Kody tried to call Logan again, but this time the number was blocked. Dayton sent a text, short and polite, asking for space. And Robin, well, even she began to retreat, no longer defending him with the same fervor, because deep down, even she had begun to question the foundation of the kingdom Kody had tried so hard to build. The implosion wasn't loud. It didn't come with screaming or final episodes. It came with silence, distance, and a single photograph that said more than Kody ever could. The children had found each other, and they were rewriting the story without him.